Welcome to another episode of the Hot Topic Podcast with your host, Patrick Quanch.
All right, gratitude is probably the least utilized tool that we all have to build our businesses. And it should be number one on everybody's business model. Why? Because everybody has massive amounts of competition in any industry, whether you're selling real estate, insurance, trucks, cars, doesn't matter. And you as a business owner, you have to ask yourself one thing. What am I going to do to differentiate myself from the competition? Well, it's gratitude. Totally. You must be expressing gratitude to your customers continuously all year long, because bottom line, they're putting money in their pocket. And if they're not putting money in your pocket, they're putting money in your competitor's pocket. So learn to express gratitude. And also on the flip side of that, you always hear about building a great work culture. Well, building a great work culture starts with gratitude from the top down. It's not a gift card for Starbucks on Christmas and saying, "Hey, Eric, great job this year." That's not gratitude. We as humans, we need to feel appreciated. But on the flip side, we also feel when we're not appreciated. Two powerful emotions, and it's really not recreating the wheel here. It's just refocusing where our priorities should be growing a business. And personally, gratitude is the greatest thing you could utilize for anybody. And I'll tell you a quick story about that. I grew up as a caddy, on a golf course in New Jersey. So back in the mid 70s, and you can look him up. His name was Bob Beck, Robert Beck. Well, he at the time was the chairman of Prudential Life Insurance. He was the chairman of Prudential Life Insurance.
Wow.
And I'm a 14, 15, 16-year-old kid. And I'll tell you what, this guy left an amazing impression on me. All right. All he would say in 4 hours of golf is two words. Thank you. I hand him a driver, thank you. Hand it back, thank you. Hand him a 5-iron, thank you. Hand him a putter, thank you. This guy expressed gratitude to everyone at the club, whether it was a caddy, the bag room attendant, the assistant pro, the locker room attendant, didn't matter. This guy, and if, you've heard the term, Pat, if success leaves clues, and he's the chairman of the largest insurance company in America, and he's expressing gratitude to everyone, pretty big clue, wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
To
say the least. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Gratitude changes everything, and it's probably the least utilized tool that most businesses utilize. I really believe that.
Yeah, and it's I don't want to sound like the old guy, right? But when I first started getting into my formative years, and you go to work, well, there was still a lot of small business at that time, which there still is today. But, some of the things that we were taught was being thankful for that customer. And you treat that customer as like that's the last customer you're ever going to see, because you never know, right?
Yes.
And you look at how customer service is today. And when you get great customer service, don't we all remember that? You remember it and you go back. And why did you go back? Well, the food may have been crappy or this, whatever, but the customer service was amazing. So that's why I came back. And I want that same staff, that same host, that same waiter or waitress or whoever it is. Why? Because they stood out. They stood out. There was something special. But to your point, in a more digital age, how do you stand out? And to stand out, you can start off with gratitude. You show somebody some gratitude, you're going to stand out, because it's not very often that someone does tell you thank you out of the blue. It's like, thank you.
Yeah,
and you just don't look around like, for what? It's like, oh, well, you held the door open for me. Okay. But, a lot of people just take that for granted. And that's an awesome lesson.
No, it's great. Sure. Well, I know you've received some thank you cards from me in the past.
I have.
Yes. I'm a big card sender, have been for years. And I think I'm over about 23,000 cards now in the last 12, 13 years. So, big believer.
You told me that one of the times that we talked in the past, you sent out over 23,000 thank you cards. And I was just astonished with that, because And I did receive one, and thank you very much. It is a special touch. Um, how did you get started on sending out thank you card? I mean, I know you had the Wall Street days, but was that just a carryover? You just felt like it carried a lot of weight. Clearly, just something that you wanted to do, I guess.
Well, no, well, my twin brother Brian, he's a golf pro, and at the time back when I was doing rock ball, he had it was called Send Out Cards back in its infancy. It's a 20-year-old company right now, but anyway, he started asking me, hey, do you send cards to the your rock ball students? I said, nah, no, but well, what do you got? Show me what you got. So he says, here, try this. So, I don't have to lick, stuff, stamp, bake. I don't have to do anything. I can send a card anywhere in over 200 countries in less than 2 minutes. And I can utilize every photo on my phone. So make a long story short, I tried it. Bippity, bippity, boop, boop. I said, wow, that's pretty cool. So I just started, and 23,000 cards later, it's probably the best tool I've ever utilized to stay in touch with customers. Yeah. So I've sent cards to Pakistan, Canada, Japan. I have friends all over the world, and they get
Yeah.
them, and it's a nice touch.
Wow.
Yeah, it really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a day where nobody sends personalized cards anymore.
No, well,
Uh,
gratitude's your edge. I got to tell you, if you're a business professional and all you can come up with is an email blast once or twice a month on a market overview on the real estate market, you're done. You're not. Nobody's going to read it. It's a waste of time.
Right.
You have to have that personal connection to people, and and you have to be expressing gratitude.
Yeah.
There's a little chapter in the Bible for anybody out there, Luke 17:11-19. And let me share this with you because it's really important about those two powerful emotions. So real quickly, in that little story, Jesus heals 10 lepers, right? Luke
Mhm.
17:11-19. Heals 10 lepers, but only one went back to say, thank you. And Jesus said, hey, you're welcome. Happy to help you. So he's feeling the gratitude of an individual. But then one of the best quotes in the Bible is, Jesus thinks for a second. He says, but where are the other 9? Didn't I heal 10 of you guys? So he's now feeling the ingratitude of the other 9. So the real meaning of that story is not that their faith healed them. It's really about Jesus using himself as the recipient of both powerful emotions. The one went back to say thank you. He felt that. He says, hey, happy to help you.
Wow.
But where are the other 9?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we need to express gratitude more, not only in our
Yeah.
personal life, but our professional life. And I really think that is your edge on your competition for any industry, any industry.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I
Thank you.
can't tell you the last time that I received a card other than a greeting card at the appropriate time throughout the year, but just a card out of the blue. It's been years. Um,
Wow.
and yeah, whenever I got that, it takes you back. It's just like, wow, someone thought enough of me to send me a card personalized.
Yeah.
It carried a lot. It carried a lot of weight. Yeah, for sure.
It's a great topic, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm sure your customers love it too, right?
Oh,
I mean, it
absolutely.
carries. Yeah, for sure.
I go to their offices and there's like 15 cards on their desk.
Oh,
Throw
how
them
cool
out.
is that?
Oh yeah, it's really cool. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because what does somebody do with it, right? Because they've received this gift from you, and there's an emotional attachment, correct? People don't want to throw that away. It's like,
Oh.
man,
And it's probably got a picture of the event that you were at or a trade show you were at, or, when I sell a truck, I take a picture of the person in front of the truck, and that's the card. Hey, thanks a lot. They're not going to throw them out, right?
right.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No,
that's
it's
very cool.
yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously being in the business, there's a lot of businesses, support businesses out there that do all kinds of things like that. They'll make a calendar, you can send it to your customer and all that stuff. And yeah, it's nice. It's nice to have a calendar from the dealership, but there's something special about getting a card from your salesperson, just out of the blue. So no, I think that's all really cool stuff. I want to know your take on you had mentioned something earlier, and I know you're really close to really helping the youth. But let's talk about the young professionals in our industry. How, because when I see a young professional, typically they're going into the service department. Which of all things, they're going into the service department,
Mhm.
but you don't see that young individual really coming in and wanting to sell trucks.
Mhm.
I have my take on it. I think a lot of it is because it's not a sexy job. It's not sexy to talk about selling a bunch of white trucks in vocations or utilities. It's much more sexy for a young professional to sell a high end luxury car, Cadillac or BMWs or
Mhm.
Mercedes Benz, whatever the case may be. That because I think um, as a young person, we want to identify ourselves with what we do, not who we are. Right. So if they can go into a social setting and say, "I sell a Porsche," okay, well, they want to be known as the Porsche salesperson. Good.
Yeah.
I think that's great. But as we get older, we don't necessarily want to be recognized as that's just us. We want you to know who we are as people. So anyway, back to the original part of the question. How do you feel what's your take on how do we attract more youth professionals into our side of the industry?
Well, that's a great question, Pat. It really is. It really is. And you know what? When you look at the truck industry, you have to do a little bit more homework because there's so many wonderful applications of businesses that use trucks. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. They think maybe it's just a box truck. But my customers range from oyster farmers, electricians, HVAC guys, e-commerce delivery, produce guys, ice cream delivery guys, Carvel customers, landscapers, hardscapers. I mean, it's endless, the applications for trucks. And it's really cool. But you also have to remember every truck that you sell is providing income and making money for that business owner. I mean, a car is a wonderful car, but it's a depreciated asset. But, a truck makes money for a business. And
Mhm.
I mean, I think it's not as glamorous. I see your point as selling Porsches or luxury items, but there's a huge need for it. All right. It's not
Mhm.
going away. And when you do a little bit of homework and say, oh, wow, you sell trucks to that industry and that industry and that industry and that industry, it's like, wow. You just go on the highway and drive around and you notice, what do you see? Trucks all over the place. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's really good. And like I told you, I don't sell trucks. I sell relationships.
Mhm.
Sell relationships. How
Yeah.
cool is that? That sounds better
Yeah.
than selling Porsches.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
And I can see to where eventually, I don't know that you and I will see it. It, there's bits and pieces of it, but I could see where eventually the retail salesperson that's selling cars and retail pieces, that position's eliminated. Um, there's kiosks out there. There's ways that you can buy directly. Obviously Tesla's invoked that same principle
Yeah.
of buying directly. Um, I don't know that, like I said, I don't know that, but when it comes to commercial trucks, I don't ever see that being something that you can just get on a keyboard, lock in what you're looking for, and be able to secure
Yeah.
a vehicle that way for some time. Now, it may happen eventually, but for some time, it's going to take professionals like you and I to be able to guide a customer through the process of what's the best application for what your industry holds, right? And
Yeah.
that's where the relationship comes in. Um, I can't help but wonder, are the youth or young professionals, um, are they intimidated because they are young? They don't feel like they don't know enough. With a customer that might have 40 years on them,
Mhm.
what's going to be the common ground? Well, for me, I would tell that young professional, if you know your stuff, whatever it is, inside and out, forwards and backwards, that older person that you're talking to, the decision maker, business owner, whoever it might be, they can't help but respect your position. And that carries a lot of weight. You can make up a lot of age gap with the amount of knowledge that you carry. You and I run into it. We'll see someone young, and not to paint a picture all the time, but we can't help but think they don't have the experiences that we do. But then when you talk to them and they're so well versed into whatever it is that they're carrying, you can't help but respect that person. It's like, wow, you really know your stuff.
Yeah.
And that's when they reach out, we reach out to them, say, hey, you want to sell trucks? 'Cause we're always looking for talent like that. But yeah, it's a challenge for sure in our industry.
Oh, absolutely. Well, this morning I actually had an interesting story with a young professional. I want to share that real quick. I checked my emails this morning, and I got an email from a vendor. And I know he's young, he's green, he's 27, 28, and it was just an email. And I know who he is, and I like to mentor. I really do. I really do.
Mhm.
And I called him up. And I said, listen, I appreciate the email, but I want you to start picking up the phone with the 20-second phone calls and say, hey, Eric, how's it going? How's your weekend? But because you're going to get more out of a verbal phone call than you're going to get out of a text message or an email. And I didn't call him up to berate him or anything. I called him up to educate him, and he was very receptive. And we need guys in the industry with experience like you, me, Craig, but we need to pass it forward, not just, truck skills, but sales skill, communication skills to the guys coming forward. And the kid totally respected the phone call. And I meant it as an educational moment, which was great because, you get more out of a verbal phone call than you do anything, even if it's 20 seconds. So I told him to start tomorrow with a new habit of, you got your email list, obviously. I was part of it today. But hey, call everybody. Say, hey, Eric, I'm just curious. Use those 3 magic words. Hey, I'm just curious. How's business? Hey, I'm just curious. How you hitting them? Maybe you find out he's a golfer or whatever it may be. But you need to communicate with people. You really do. And it's not hard, but we as the veterans need to pass it forward. We really do.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. I completely agree with you. And the big thing that I find in commercial departments, especially in the light duty, selling, let's say the Ford store where I came from, right? The tough part is we get locked into our day, and within that day, there's no time for mentoring. There's no time for networking. It's I've got 15 fires going on. I've got 15 irons in that fire that I've got to get to. And then you get to work that day, then you come to find out you've got another 15 fires that you didn't even know about that you're having to attack. And I tell some young people, I was like, there's going to be some days you just can't sell anything. And you have to be okay with that because it's not just about sales, it's about the relationship and it's about it's maintaining the customer. So, for example, if you've got a customer that's got a truck in the service department and you just want to walk away from that problem because it's not your problem, that customer will remember that. But if you take on the task of, hey, let me see what I can do, and you go to the service advisor and say, tell me what's going on, how can I help? You may have to get in your vehicle to go pick up a part. Go get the part, bring it back. I'll get the truck on the road. Perfect. I'm on it.
Yeah.
Well, it's just part of that customer service that we have to. And I really hate when people say, it's not my job.
No, it's
Oh,
all
yeah.
our job. It's all our
It's
job.
all our job. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's everybody's job.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think I agree with you, Eric, in that we've got to be able to get our youth. We've got to spend some time with them. We've got to mentor them. We've got to get them warmed up to the idea that this is um, it's a really lucrative, magical part of the industry that they, once they get opened up to it, like you and I did. Because when I got in the commercial truck business, I didn't know anything about it. You didn't know anything about it. But then you see the possibilities of, wow, it's a really cool industry to be in for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You mentioned something that just popped my head when you mentioned time. I don't have enough time for this. I don't have enough time for that. Can I share something that I've been doing for
Oh,
about a year now?
for sure.
It's called the 512s, the 512s. And,
512s. Okay.
when you talk to business professionals, and personally and professionally, you say, oh, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. I don't have time. Nobody has time for anything anymore. So about a year ago, I started for myself time management. I call it the 512. So in an hour, there's 5 sets of 12 minutes, 5 sets of 12 minutes. So in the last year, this has been great. And for my attention span, 12 minutes is really perfect. So my 512s, all right, and I do set my timer for 12 minutes. I do this every morning from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. I do 5 positive things. So I start off with exercise. I have a kettlebell here in my office. I swing a kettlebell for 12 minutes. So I'm getting exercise. And then I read a book. I'm on my 25th book in a year, just from 12 minutes a day.
Gosh.
And when the alarm goes off, I'm done. And now I practice Spanish. I'm learning Spanish.
Okay.
Why? Because a lot of my customers are Hispanic, and it creates the opportunity to do business with 100 million more people. So I'm learning Spanish.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I love music again, and I told you, I keep my guitar here. So I play music for 12 minutes. Whether it's blues or classical, and then the last set of 512s is gratitude. I send out thank you cards for 12 minutes. And you'd be surprised what you can accomplish in 12 minutes every day. Little baby steps. But, once again, if you put it on your calendar, you're going to do it. So whatever your time frame is, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 12 is perfect for me. Every morning, I start off with 5 positive things.
Wow.
Exercise, reading, another language, music, and gratitude.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And it's been very, very effective for time management for me in the last year. Very effective.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something to think about for all you listeners out there,
Yes, for sure. Yeah. That's some inspiration right there because, and you and I, well, I don't want to speak for you, but for me, I'm guilty of this. I didn't get time for that. What I'm really saying is it wasn't important enough for me to make time for it. That's the other way you got to look at that. Because when you tell a customer, I didn't get time for that, you're really telling them that wasn't important to me because I handled everything that was important to me. And I tell people all the time, there's 2 ways you can look at every situation. You can either find a way to do it or you can find an excuse as to why you didn't do it. Those are the 2 options.
Wow.
Right?
That's 2 great points right there. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And think about it. So, for example, and we have people like this in our lives. Everybody does, right? I'm not saying that I'm any special than anybody else. You have people in your life that every time you talk to them, you're having to reach out to them. And every time you reach out to them, if you get in touch with them, they're like, oh man, I've been so busy. I'm so sorry. I haven't gotten back with you. Well, eventually you keep hearing that. We want that relationship with that person for whatever reason, but clearly they don't want the relationship with us. So at that point, we need to figure out, okay, what's important to me? It's like, it's like I'm having to reach out to you every time. And every time I get in touch with you, you're always late to whatever it is we're doing, or you never have time for it. Well, clearly you're not high enough on that person's priority list for them to make time for you. Right. So, we have to reassess. It's like, okay, well, what am I doing here? And you're essentially wasting time. And as we get older, we want to waste less time, right? Because we figured out we don't, there's fewer days ahead of us than there are behind us, right? So we want to maximize our time, and we want to surround ourselves by people that want us in their life.
Yeah,
and
that's a great point. That's a great point.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to walk away from people and situations, but sometimes you just have to.
Yeah. Well, when I run the BNI meeting, I'm the president, and each week we try to have a nugget of how personal and professional growth, right? And a couple of weeks ago, I asked 2 questions. I didn't want an answer, and this is to 23 business professionals. I said, if you were going to sign your biggest contract ever, multi-million-dollar contract, house, insurance, whatever, and the customer can only meet you next Tuesday at 7:30 in the morning. And here are the two questions. Would you be late? Number one. And number two, while you were engaged with the guy, would you be on your cell phone texting somebody? Think about that. I didn't want an answer, but I know what the answers would be. So when you're in a business setting, is the integrity of your attention on that group, or are you fiddling with your phone and answering somebody? It's when you observe a room in a meeting, you can learn a lot about somebody. The integrity of your attention, and that has waned over the years with the phone. That phone is a distraction, even in business settings. So you have to catch yourself, and you really have to pay attention to the people, and and stay focused and listen to what they have to say.
Yeah. Because you owe it to that person, right? Or the
Absolutely.
people or the group. Absolutely. If you're going to invest your time and your effort and everything about you into whatever it is you're doing, you owe it to those people to be able to stay focused.
Yeah.
For years, I know this is going to sound really weird. I didn't want any local customers. None.
Really?
Right. So it sounds weird. Okay. Here's the reason why. Let's say you're one of my really good customers, Eric, and you're 5 miles away from my dealership, but yet you like to conduct business in a face-to-face manner. Okay. When you walk into my office, regardless of what I have going on, I owe it to you because you took time out of your day to sit in front of me. I owe it to you to give you my undivided attention. Great. Okay. Phone goes down. We're not going to answer any emails. Eric, how can I help? And, whatever. Whatever your issue is at the time, we're going to address. How can I help? Well, I really want to look at the new truck, or, my wife's cars and the service, whatever. Okay. So I'm going to take time out of my day to be able to help you because I value not only your business, your friendship, or whatever it is that brought us together, right? Let's say that takes 2 hours of my day. How much did I get done in that 2 hours? I took care of one customer. Whereas if I had no customers in a local area, but I had customers like you in Hartford, one in Charlotte, North Carolina, and one in Sarasota, Florida, and one in Gillette, Wyoming, very quickly I could take your phone call, know exactly what you're looking for, hang up the phone and tell you, I'll have you an answer today. And then I'm on to the next person, to the next person, to the next person. But as long as you get the answer the same day, you're good. It's like, oh, Pat did exactly what he said he was going to do. He got me my quote the same day. Yep, I sure did. But now I can work 30, 40, 50 people at a time and nobody gets offended. But the one customer that walks in and I had that process in place and wrecks 2 hours of my day, that day now turns into a 10, 12, 14, 16-hour day because I had a local customer come in to see me. So that's why I told people all the time, look, I had a colleague, when I first got to the Ford store I spent a lot of time at, he had been there for a number of years. And he was really big on the local customers. So when I first got there, I would go out knocking on doors and trying to build my own business up. He pulled me aside after about 6, 9 months, something like that, and said, look, I'm tired of you walking in on my customers. And I was like, hey, man, look, that's not my intention. I have no idea whose customer is what. I'm just going knocking on doors. When I find out that they're dealing with somebody, I graciously bow out. Great.
Nice.
I'll let so-and-so know. Maybe they can reach out to you. And that's all I'm doing. Well, he was still kind of on me on this, like, hey, you need to quit calling on my customers. I'm like, look, I don't know who your customers are, nor am I going to look through the Rolodex to be able to figure out when I pull up to a door. I'm not going to go through and figure out if this is somebody's customer. I'm just going to walk in and try to figure it out, right? So this went on for almost 2 years. And he did it to me again. And I finally told him, I said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you every customer in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, every single one of them. If anything comes in, it's yours. If I go call on them and I can secure a deal, I'll give it to you. I said, but you give me the same. I'll take the rest of the country and you have to do the same for me. And he got that epiphany like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, let that sink in. There's a lot more business outside of this area than there is inside the area. How about we just work together on this and just understand that I'm not trying to do anything malicious to you. It's just by innocent. And then after that point, he left me alone. It's like, I get it. Okay, perfect.
It worked.
So it worked. Yeah. I mean, but it's little stuff like that. But yeah.
Hey, I had a question. I had 2 questions for you.
Okay.
What prompted you to get into the truck industry, number 1? And number 2, what prompted you to create the Hot Topic salsa?
Okay. Yeah. The jar of salsa that I got to you had a little kick to it, right? Yeah.
It sure did. And it was really good. It was really good. Tell me those stories.
Man, I appreciate you asking this. So what got me into the truck industry? So by accident, let me start off with that. So growing up, I was an 80s kid growing up. So we were still not very far removed from the baby boomer generation of being into cars and music and things like that, right? So, when I went to high school, we were still very much into that scene, cars and music. And obviously, this is before cell phones and anything like that. So I grew just a fondness for the automotive part of the world, right?
Cool.
So one of my first real jobs, Pet Boys, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Oh, yeah. Manny Moe and Joe.
Everybody. Yeah, Manny Moe. We called him Manny Moe and Spike. But anyway, whatever. They came to my hometown. So I got a job there. And it just kind of started from there. I was a parts manager for a lot of years. I locked in on I was really good with my customers. One particular customer, he and his wife would come in occasionally. And this is back when, people would work on their own vehicles on the weekend. So typically Friday nights were pretty busy because everybody's getting ready to start on Saturday morning. And of course, Saturdays and Sundays were really busy, right? Because everybody's doing tune-ups or oil changes or whatever it is they're doing in their car. So I had this couple that would come in and they would buy stuff from me. And we had a display. And it had some NASCAR guys on this display. And those were her favorite drivers. And he had asked me, hey, when y'all take that display down, do you think we could have that poster? Well, sure, not a problem. No big deal. And I just happened to be there the day that we were taking the display down. I rolled up the poster, put a rubber band on it, and then I set it off to the side and told the guys, hey, that's all off limits. Customer, I've already promised it to a customer. Anyway, he and his wife came in sometime later. I want to say it's within a couple of weeks. And I saw them and they would always wait on me. And I saw them and said, hey, let me wrap up here and I'll be down there with you. 15 minutes later, I go in the office, grab the poster and I hand it to the lady. Oh my God, you would have thought it was Christmas morning, right? She just absolutely loved this thing. Well, they were very thankful for that gesture. Didn't mean anything to me. I wasn't, I'm not a NASCAR guy. And I was like, yeah, if it means something to you, great. Well, I progressed within the company and ended up moving stores within the same region that I was at another store, clear across town. Wasn't even close to where I was. And I came in for my days off and there was a business card there. Now, keep in mind, I didn't even know these people's names, right? I just knew their faces. And anyway, this one of my colleagues said, hey, there's a card in there. And the office guy came by, wanted to talk with you. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I see the card and he's with Thermo King. All right. You're familiar with Thermo King, right? Okay.
Yep.
He's with Thermo King. He's the director of sales or director of service for Thermo King. So I call him and he's like, hey man, I know you don't know my name, but you gave that poster to my wife. Well, I could recognize his voice. I was like, oh yeah. Hey Jim, and it's good to meet you. Yeah. He goes, "Hey, man, I don't know if you'd be interested or not, but we actually have an opening as a parts manager at our Fort Worth store." And I was like, "Really? Okay." So fast forward, I go and interview for the parts manager job
Yeah.
for the Thermo King store in Fort Worth. I knew nothing about transport refrigeration. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But I knew it had an engine, it had a compressor, it had an evaporator, had a condenser. How hard could it be? Well, let me tell you something. It's the nomenclature. It's just complete different nomenclature
Yeah.
on you know. So I ended up getting a job as the parts manager, and Jim was the service director. So clearly, we've got this really good relationship because I took care of him and he's taking care of me or whatever. Um, Fast forward, I was the director there for about 5 years, I guess, and I just kind of maximized my time. I don't, Thermo King. This was back in the late '90s. Thermo King to me, you could really maximize both your ability to move because there's really only two players in the market. It's Thermo King or Carrier. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that's it.
Exactly. Transit-cold. And those are the only two players. So either you maximize where you're at or you bounce back and forth between the two companies, and that's really all you do. So I quickly figured that out. Anyway, uh, get I had a I had another customer come up to me and want to interview me for another parts job, but with a bigger group, and it was in the truck business. So this particular dealership had Suzu, they had UD Nissan,
Yeah.
they had GMC, they had a couple of other. I think we had Iveco when Iveco was still kind of prominent in that. Anyway, with all that being said, I take on the position of parts director, had 6 stores that I was working with, had 15 guys working for me, pretty big operation or
Yeah.
whatever.
Mm.
And then management came up to me. I'd been there about a year, doing a really good job. And you hate these conversations. Man, you're doing such a bang up job. Great. And that's the good news. Oh, okay. So there's more news. Yeah. We've decided to go a different direction. However, we would like to give you an opportunity to sell trucks. Okay. Well, I was in my 30s and I took offense to that. So you talked about earlier about how to pull the emotion out of a yes, no, or maybe,
Yeah.
right? I couldn't do that yet. I was still very scorned. How dare you? This is my world that you're messing with. And anyway, I reluctantly took the position as a salesperson within this organization. And I was told, any office you want, and we had 3 stores at the time, any territory you want, whether it's occupied or not occupied, it's yours.
Yeah.
Okay, well, my mentor at the time gave me the best office and the best territory, and said, "Here, this is yours. Do with it what you want. Green grass, blue sky, knock yourself out," right?
Yeah.
Well, I had been so far removed from sales at the time that as well as I do, your head has to be right to be able to go in there calling on customers. I wasn't. And I was just burning through, opportunities. And I was still mad about I call it a firing. It really wasn't a firing. It was just a reassessment. Um, this was middle summer. I've been doing it for about 6 months. And my mentor, boss, came up to me and said, "Hey, I got something for you." "What is it?" "I got you an interview." "You got me an interview?" "Yes. I've got a guy he's in the parts business. Clearly you want to go back to that. I want you to go talk to him." Okay. I didn't really know how to take that information. It's like, well, you're really trying to help me. You're trying to get rid of me. One or the other, right?
Yeah.
And that's how I took that. So I went on this interview, met with this guy, and I clearly almost instantaneously figured out he's sending me over here to kind of get my head right. That's all he was doing. All right. So this was right about the end of August. We were getting ready to getting ready to go out for the holiday, the Labor Day holiday. So I get back to the office and he says, "Well, what'd you think?" And I was like, "Well, you're either trying to help me or get rid of me, one or the other." I said, "Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the holiday weekend and I'm going to decide whether I want to do this or not."
Right.
And if I don't want to do it, I'm going to come in and hand you the keys to my demo. I'm going to walk away. We're still going to be friends. Or I'm going to come in on Tuesday and let you know that I'm going to give this a run. So as you can imagine, that weekend was pretty, it's just, oh man, my mind, oh my gosh. Yeah. I was just all messed up because, it's like, okay, dude, if you're going to do this, you need to do this. But if you don't, you need to step away and go figure out what else to do. So I spent the weekend, 3 days, just mulling over this, I was like, what am I going to do kind of thing. And I went back in on Tuesday morning and I said, and his name is Tom Claiborne, my mentor, great dude. I said, Tom, I tell you what, I'm going to give you everything I got for the last 4 months of the year, September, October, November, December. If I can do it, then obviously we don't need to have another conversation. If I can't do it, again, I'm going to hand you the keys. I'm going to walk away. No big deal. September, October, November, December, I was salesman of the month, 4 months in a row. The next 2 years, I ended up being the salesperson of the year for our company.
Wow.
And yeah,
That's
second
great.
year, I landed a really big account. I ended up 35th in global. This was back when General Motors and Isuzu were combined. They were GM ICT at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up finishing 35th in global Isuzu sales.
Wow.
And for UD Nissan, I was in the top 5 in the country. So I had some credentials. So as you can imagine, that's kind of where it took off. And that's where I got my start
That's
in the
awesome.
commercial business. Yeah.
Great
So,
story.
yeah,
It wasn't a broken ankle, but it was a great story.
It was not a broken ankle. Yeah, for sure. It was a broken heart. Yeah, it was a broken heart.
It broke my heart, Fredo.
It broke my heart. The second part of your question is, how did we get started on the Hot Topic salsa? So for years, I tried unsuccessfully, and this is really before we could network on like LinkedIn and Facebook and social media and things like that. I was at a Ford store doing really well, but I was trying to take my business bigger. I was trying to make it bigger, and I was trying to create relationships around the country to be able to satisfy my customers.
Mm-hmm.
I was very fortunate. I sold trucks in all 50 states, but I quickly figured out, okay, how can I maximize the opportunities? For example, I've got a customer that's calling me from Charlotte, North Carolina. I know that I can get vehicles in Charlotte, North Carolina to be able to satisfy that customer where he doesn't either have to fly down to come see me or pay transportation for me to ship a truck to him. Let me just secure a truck in his backyard and be able to put a deal together. And that way he saves money, he's happier, the whole works, right? It was very difficult to do because when I would reach out and say, hey, I'm in Texas, you're in North Carolina, I'd really like to secure this truck. Well, the first question was, why? Well, I have a customer in your backyard. And they're like, oh, no. We're not going to give you the truck because we're going to get the customer. I was like, but you don't know who the customer is. Doesn't matter. We're just not going to give you the truck. So anyway, I continued about my way of doing business was secure a vehicle, build the truck for them, either figure out, do you want me to ship it or do you want to come get it? It doesn't matter to me. Customers, as a general rule, just didn't, it didn't really move the needle. But I felt like I could get more customers if I could somehow figure out this network. And I could never do it.
Yeah.
So I kind of put in the back of my mind, look, there's a way to do this, but I don't have time to do it right now. Right. It wasn't important. It was like, hey, take care of what you got going on. And so I put that on the back burner. Fast forward, I had a really good run selling Fords and I reached a burnout. I was, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. It was just too much. Yeah, it was a lot. One of my best, I averaged about 500 units a year. Some years I could touch near 700 units.
Wow.
A lot of units. And yeah, thank you. It was a lot of units, but it was a lot of work, as you can imagine.
Oh, yeah.
So of almost 700 units, 500 of those were different customers. So you got 500 different ways of doing business, right? if I could sell 700 trucks to 2 or 3 customers, that would have been cake. It would have been easy.
Right.
It's just repetition at that point. But these were 500 organic customers, if you will, every year. I would get 500 new
A lot of
customers a
paperwork.
year. A lot of paperwork, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of different ways of doing business because, like you said, we have so many diverse customers in all different industries.
Yeah.
You have to know what makes their business work to be able to get them the correct vehicle with upfit, whatever that they need. You have to be able to speak their language, and on top of that, now you've stepped outside the region because the way guys do HVAC in Hartford, Connecticut is different than the way they do it here in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. So
Absolutely.
I had to know both regions. It's like, okay, what's your hot button? Well, I really need an aluminum body. Rust. Got it. Okay.
Mm.
Down here, it's not a big deal. So, I have a lot of steel or did back then.
Mhm.
Everything's changing, but
Yeah.
so I just reached a burnout stage. So I walked in, it was Friday the 13th, April 13th in 2021. I walked into my boss's office and I laid down a 2-week resignation. We all know how that works, and said, I can't do this anymore. I'm just going to walk away. So I walked away without having any plans as to what I was going to do, where I was going to go, how I was going to do it. And that was in 2021. Fast forward to this this winter, January, we're getting ready to watch the Super Bowl, I guess in early February, should I say.
Yep.
And I was like, man, I'm just craving salsa. I really want some salsa. You know what? I'm going to make my own salsa. So I just kind of started going down the path of figuring out, what would make a really good salsa. So I, started doing homework as most people do, watching YouTube videos and just trying to figure things out and getting recipes. Well, then I had an epiphany. I was like, I'm going to bring the country together with salsa. And then I came up with the name Hot Topic Salsa. And I said, I'm going to base a podcast after this. My wife thought I was crazy. She still thinks I'm crazy, but hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. But yeah, I built the podcast off of a jar of salsa. So I went to Chat GPT, and the neon sign you see behind me was built from Chat
Yeah,
GPT.
really? Oh, wow. That's great.
I was like, hey, create me a logo, Hot Topic Salsa. And
Yeah.
it did it. And I said, hey, change the name from Hot Topic Salsa to Hot Topic Podcast. And there you have it.
There you have it.
So, yeah. So
Oh, that's fantastic.
yeah, it's just crazy how things turn
And
out.
I got to tell you, it is good, and it does have a nice little kick. You're not going to give away your special ingredients, but it was very good. It really was very good.
Yeah.
I
you.
thoroughly enjoyed it, and it's a unique gift. It really is. It's unique.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
No, thank you. I appreciate you asking. But yeah, that's part of it was how can I stand out? So, right, what I did initially, I charted out 12 people, you being one of them, and said, I want them on a podcast.
The Dirty Dozen.
Right? Right, the Dirty Dozen. I want them on a podcast. And I sent out the same package I sent you. It's a, nice little package. You get a jar of salsa with an
Thank you
invitation
very
to
much.
be on the
Thank
podcast.
you very much.
No, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great.
So that's how I got started. I figured, I'm going to send out a jar of salsa, and I think that's going to stand out because who doesn't like salsa? I don't know.
Oh, well, it's working. I can tell you that much. And, your show's taken off. I see you on social media every morning, which is fantastic. And recently you had Will Brogan on a podcast, and he's fantastic. And you're doing the right thing there, Pat.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. It's people like you and me that are going to be able to help this industry stay well connected. I mean, obviously, you've been doing it a lot longer than I have, and you do a fantastic job of connecting. But I see you on LinkedIn and all your posts and everything, and there's got to be more of that, especially because we're sliding more and more towards automation.
Yeah.
The artificial intelligence is going to take over a lot more. So, and this is something for our younger generation. The more personalization that you can put with the automation, the more you're going to stand out.
No,
It's
you're
okay,
100% right. You're 100% right.
right?
You know, two things to that point. You know, I got to give Craig Judge a little kudos for about 5, 6 years ago. He told me, he says, I need you out on social media. I mean, so Craig had the vision of saying, okay, this is a new platform that we
Yeah.
need to present. And so basically he said, you're doing it. I said, oh, okay. So, you know, it became a part of my, my daily activities, but you know, I came up with Truck Trends Tip of the Week, and then, you know, a lot of people now fast forward with consistency, and I pretty much, I wing them all. I really do. I really do wing them all. They're all short. I try to keep them short for a reason, people's attention spans. But anyway, once again, we get back to, I get a lot of questions. How'd you get started? How do you do it? Once again, make it fun, make it fun, keep it consistent, just have some fun with it. But then also try to engage your vendors, try to engage your customers, try to engage maybe an employee. And then this way, you know, everybody gets a little exposure, but you know, be consistent, have fun. And then back to like the cold calling part, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get at it. And it just rolls off your tongue, and have fun with it. Just have fun with it.
Yeah.
But I've
Yeah.
noticed in our industry more and more people in truck business, you know, getting their feet wet on social media, which is great. And you do recognize, you do see this stuff, because I'm on obviously social media, but I see your podcasts, I see your I see Will Brogan, I see, you know, Paula Ventura, I see, you know, John Doerr out in you know, Chicago. I mean, people see these things. And you know, heck, last summer I'm playing golf with a guy. I'm a sub in a men's league, and I'm playing this guy. I don't even know who he is, but he goes, "Hey man, I know who you are.
Wow.
You're the TikTok guy." Oh, okay, great. It's like,
Oh, that's
you know,
crazy.
you're doing a great job, Patrick, and
Yeah.
I want to say thank you for this wonderful time spent with you, getting to know more about you and the Hot
Yeah.
Topic podcast, and you're doing a
Yeah.
great job. Yeah,
Man, I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate you asking. I really do. I get a lot of enjoyment out of it. We've got a newsletter that's coming out, so
great.
that'll also help out. It's a little different format than what you would normally see, so hopefully that'll bring some excitement and hopefully be able to bring some insight, um, as well as you know, connecting people.
Yeah.
Just another connecting piece.
Well,
But
do me
no,
a favor. Let me
yep,
know how I can help you with you know, my
yeah,
network. If there's somebody I need to connect you to, please just ask. Please just ask,
yeah,
because happy to do it. I love what you're doing. I really appreciate you know, having me on the time and taking some time to chat.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah, no, this has been a pleasure, man. I had thoroughly, and I knew it. I knew going into this was going to be one of the best ones, and you did not disappoint, my friend. No, absolutely.
well,
I
thank
appreciate your time and all your insights and everything that you do for our industry. It's a breath of fresh air to see your takes and your, you know, your truck trends of the week. You know, bringing Gary into it. Gary, he doesn't look like he's a in front of the camera kind of guy, but you've made him that way, and those are entertaining. I love watching those. But yeah, man, for sure. And likewise, if there's anything I can do for you, please let me know. Before I let you go,
you.
please let everybody know if they're looking for whatever you sell. I know it's Navistar. I know it's international. I know you sell, you know, transport truck. I mean, you sell everything. How can someone get in touch with you? Let everybody know that.
Okay. Well, I am on LinkedIn, Eric Dobbie on LinkedIn. You can pull up my profile. I'm on YouTube under Truck Trends Tip of the Week, Truck Trends Tip of the Week on YouTube Shorts. I'm also on TikTok. I'm also on Instagram, and that about covers it. But I would start with LinkedIn. LinkedIn's very professional, and my whole profile's there. You can pull up my resume, et cetera, and just DM me. I always reach out. I always connect with people, and I love engagement. I love collaboration, and I love meeting new people. And you know, you probably got a sense from our conversation. You know, I love the mentor. So you know, if you're young in the industry and you want somebody to just chat with, happy to do it. You know, I have spoken at colleges. I do a lot of mentoring at Providence College. I've actually spoken to their finance society last February. I'm on their calendar again next fall. I'm speaking actually in October to UConn Alumni Association.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I like to support local young professionals, and don't how about this? How about this? I closed with when I spoke at the Providence Finance Society, and I had a PowerPoint, and the last PowerPoint was my cell number, and in parentheses, if you're bold enough. You can listen to somebody or read a book or anything, but if you're bold enough, what are you going to do with this information tomorrow morning? And there was about 100 students when I spoke at the Finance Society. And I said, if you're bold enough, give me a call and let's get together. Let's have another conversation. Well, I got to tell you, to their credit, my phone blew up for 2 weeks. About 30 of them reached out. They were bold enough. And, it's also a training ground for what's next after college, because you have to be proactive. And it's really a test, for somebody to be bold enough. Reach out. My number's there for a reason. I'm here to help you. So be bold enough. Reach out to me on LinkedIn if you found today's conversation between you and me somewhat value added, which I'm sure you would, and you want to expand it more or pick my brain about something, please DM me, reach out to me. You got my cell number, and I'm happy to help you out.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I can attest to that, guys. If you're and ladies, if you're watching, if you're listening, Eric's the real deal. This guy will help you in any way. He will connect you in any way. He'll do whatever it takes to make sure that you have the opportunity to succeed. And yeah, I can attest to that, brother. It's been a pleasure, man. And we need to stay in touch. And if I get up that direction, I promise I'm going to get up there and see you.
Oh, yeah. You have a steak dinner waiting for you when you come up to Hartford, just FYI.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I got steak dinner coming. Yeah. I'm going to have to take you up on that.
You got it, brother. Well, listen,
absolutely.
Pat, thank you. Thank you for your time. Keep doing what you're doing. I love what you're doing, and I really, really appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Sounds good, brother. Well, until next time, and until the next time we talk, brother, I appreciate you.
God bless you. Thanks, Patrick.
Thanks, Eric. You bet. Take care.